What's up, YouTube family? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight to finish up Lake Georgetown. We talked about it on the last breakdown that we did, and now we want to finish it up. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the offshore stuff, what I could find out there from Navionics, and then we're also going to finish it up on the Google Earth side. Now we're covering the south side. We actually went from the dam up north, kind of covered the northeast side, and then we kind of went northwest. Now we're starting at the west and kind of working our way back down to the east, southeast side. So stick around. Got some good stuff to uncover for you out here in Lake Georgetown. Let's go. Here we are back on Lake Georgetown. Let's go ahead and try to finish this up tonight. I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to show you the waypoints that we have left on Google Earth, and then we're going to switch over real quick and look at Navionics and just see if we can find anything out there. But let's go ahead and zoom in here to Lake Georgetown. Let's talk about it a little bit. On the left-hand side, I've got it organized by a couple different things over here. Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors. There are a lot of fish attractors on this lake. You can see them all here. Tons of fish attractors to fish around. Crappie fishing is probably really good, but don't forget, bass like to feed around those crappie holes. They also like to feed on the crappie. So don't ever pass those up. Definitely go and check those out. All right, offshore stuff. We'll talk about it on the Navionics side. This is all of it right here that you can see here. We're going to talk about it. Mainly, it's just a lot of points and things like that. So again, we'll go over it on the Navionics side, but for the most part, you're just looking at points, drop-offs, maybe some small humps that might be out here and things like that, but not a lot of offshore stuff going on, at least from a map perspective that I could pick up. Those Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors, though, those are huge. Also ramps. There's not too many ramps on this lake, only 3 of them, so you could fish them, but you just got to be careful you're not fishing the really populated ones. And then, of course, rock formations. There's lots of different rock formations and different styles of rock that you can fish around on this lake, so we'll cover all of that. Also, just random cover, laydowns, things like that you can see. You can see there's not. We're actually going to finish on this side today, and there's actually not a lot of cover from that standpoint. That's not rock. There's not a lot of that on this southern side. And then, last but not least, you've got your channels and your ditches, so you can line up perfectly. Once you put the card in the graph, you import in these waypoints. Once you do that, you'll be able to set up perfectly on these channels and these creeks and these ditches and things like that, and really put yourself in a high percentage spot to be able to catch some fish. So let's go ahead and let's jump into this thing. We're going to take away the offshore. Actually, we'll leave the offshore stuff there. And I'm going to draw this back to 2014, I believe. So I'm going to go up here and click this little history icon, and I'm going to draw this back to 2014, and then we're going to get started. So here we are in 2014. You can tell the water is down quite a bit in this image. There could be some better images, but this was the best one that I found. Now, when we finished on the last video, we finished right here at this Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor site. So what we're going to do today is we'll start here. We'll work our way down, back down to the dam. We'll finish there, and then we'll hop over to Navionics and look at it real quick from an offshore standpoint. So as far as what's going on this side, let me move this over. And let's just talk about what we see. So we've got the Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor there. That's always good. As far as rocks, if you look here, most of this stuff is pretty much the same, but you do have some stuff that's a little bit different, like right here, where this big rock is right here. That's a great place to look, especially when everything else is pretty much the same. That's going to be a good spot to look for some fish. Also out here, you have the Texas Park and Wildlife's fish attractor site that's out there, but you also have some random kind of boulders that look like boulders right there in that area. So go check those out. Now, as we move further down, you've kind of got these little ledges here. Now, the challenge with this lake is it didn't fluctuate very much. So you can see here, if I go to 2015, is not a good image, but 2016, I mean, I guess it is pretty far out there, but I can't tell. The imagery just doesn't look like it lines up that great. But at least in 2014, you can tell there's some kind of a ledge there, right? So let me go back. There's a cleaner image than that one. There we go. 2014. This one looks the best. So you can see here, there's a pretty decent little ledge right here happening right across the shoreline, but these two little points have really good ledges. This one's very well defined here, and it's very well defined there. And these look like hard spots. And so if that's a real good hard spot, a real defined ledge, that's going to be a real good place. I'm having a hard time talking today to find some fish. So definitely check out those two spots right there. I think those look really, really good. At least they do to me. All right, let's move on down here. We're getting down by Cedar Hollow. As we move down here, we've got a couple more fish attractor sites. We've got one here. On this one here, they've got it right here, but there's some brush around it as well. Now, I don't know if this is the fish attractor site. Maybe that's just what we're seeing is the timber that they put there, but that looks like an amazing brush pile to fish around. So focus on number 16. That looked like one of the best ones, at least from the imagery that we could find. And then now as you get down here by this Cedar Hollow, you'll notice you've got this creek channel that runs through here. And I've got it marked there so you can tell exactly where you are and when you're in the creek channel. But I really want you to pay attention to this timber that's out here. Pay attention to the timber that gets really close to the creek channel. So right here where it almost comes up and touches it, these bushes right in here are not really bushes, but basically trees. These trees in here are going to be really good areas for the fish to hold up in. It's a good stopping spot for if they want to go back. They go back and they come up and they stop here. If they're coming in, they stop here. So these are really good stopping spots, a really good stopping area for the fish to attract to. And with the cover that you have there, along with some points and a creek channel, you've got some potential to really find some stuff. Also, if you're talking about, just fish staging and where they would stage in this area, I already told you that they're probably going to collect up in here at some point in time, but they're also going to collect out here off of this point where this rock is as they move further out. So they might go out here to this rock or out here to this brush pile to live out their summer and winter haunts. Maybe have to go a little bit further out here, maybe not. I'm hoping maybe just to go right in here, and then they'll just move back up in here, do their spawning and stuff like that, or maybe move over here on these flats and spawn and then move right back out. So pay attention to those areas right there. If that was me and I was fishing that lake, I'd probably start here, see if I caught any fish. If I didn't, I'd move back to this point, try this little point with this rock. If I did good there, obviously I'd put that rock in there and I'd look for rocky points. If I didn't do good here and I didn't see any fish, I'd pull over and probably hit this brush pile. I'm thinking between those 3 spots right there, really those 4 spots, you're going to find some fish in that area for sure. All right, so let's keep moving up. Got another Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor. We've also got some unique just rock formations that you see here just along this bank line. As I move on down and we get it back here into this Crockett Garden Falls, I didn't see too much back in here. The creek channels aren't really defined or anything like that, so it's really kind of hard to mark anything there. But as you move up here and you come up this little bank line right here, this is where it starts looking really good. And I think what this is this is the river channel or creek channel. It's coming down here and it's swinging this way. So this, obviously, you can tell from just by looking at the contour on the map here that this is the shallow side, right? So this is your shallow side, and this should be your deep side. So this is going to be a really good area to fish on the swing side. So when it swings out and it hits the bank, those areas right in there are primo areas to find fish. So what we've got here is just, I've marked a couple different unique rock formations that are going along this bank line. So we've got one here, we've got another one there, got one there. This one looks really cool. I'm gonna kind of zoom out a little bit, kind of keep you guys aware of where I'm at. We've also got some rocks here. We got some big boulders here. I mean, that whole bank line, you could literally start right there and just work from here and spend a little while, take some time working around each one of those points. And I think you're going to have some success. You've also got probably some pretty good bluff walls or somewhat of a ledge or a channel or something going on right in here. So pay attention to the rocks, but don't be scared to come out just a little bit because of this creek channel swing that's coming up here. There's going to be brush piles somewhere over in here, somewhere all along that bank line, somewhere in this area. If I were just to say, hey, I'm going to go find some brush piles, I would literally mark a square about right in here, maybe not on the land, but let's say right in here. I would mark that square and I would just start scanning and just looking for the brush piles because I would have a lot of confidence that there would be some in there. Now, I've never been to this lake, so I don't know if there are, but if you're searching for the brush piles, definitely go look in that area. That would be a high percentage area. Now, the good thing about this area, too, is you've got lots of Texas Park and Wildlife stuff going on with their fish attractors. So you've got a few over here more on the shallow side. This number 4 is probably going to be a really good one because you've got that creek channel swing going in here, and they can come up here and feed and then come right back out here to the deep spot. And then as this creek channel comes up here and swings again, they've got a ton of them right here, which is perfect place to put those right off of that point as that creek channel swinging around. They come up here and feed on the flat, get back out of the channel. It's just a really good spot to put those fish attractors. This lake looks really cool. Haven't heard a lot about this lake, but definitely looks like a lake that I would like to go down and check out. We've also got some rocks down in here, just different rock formations. You can see one here. Pretty good little pile going on here off this point. Again, let me zoom out a little bit, show you where I'm at. So now we're moving over. We're getting close to the dam. We're a couple points away, but we've also got just the same thing that we're seeing, throughout this map. We've got the little rock formations here, big boulders right in here off of this point. Real good areas to be able to find some fish. You want to look for that stuff that's different. And then anytime you can get these boulders where they produce shade, those are high percentage rocks. To me, those are really high percentage rocks if they're producing shade. So definitely take a look at that. As you move down in here, we're just kind of going down, following the river here. We've got a couple more rock formations in there, some pretty big ones right in here. If you look at this one, the reason why I like this is everything's pretty the same. And the bank line looks good. That looks like a really good bank line just to fish. But these things are the unique spots on that bank line. So maybe you go and you fish that bank line, but when you get to these areas, you slow down maybe or back off of them a little bit and really spend some time just working that area, because that is going to be your more high percentage area along that bank line. This would be right here as well. It sticks out a little bit better. It's a little nicer home than everybody else in the neighborhood, and so that's where everybody wants to go. All right, so as we move over here and we get off around this point, I'm going to show you guys where I'm at. The dam's right over here. We're swinging right around this point. We've got some more rock formations that are out here. You can see that I've marked them. This was unique because it's really like sandy, and then you got one here. There's a little bit of rock patch there. There's a little there. But this one looks a little bit healthier for some reason, all just right in this area. So again, take a look at that. You got Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors here, some more rock formations down in here. You've also got a little rock like jetty. If you zoom back here, I'm going to say jetty, but really I think it looks like it's probably just a boulder, but this looks like a big boulder right here, right off the edge of this little fishing thing. And, most people are not going to go over there because there's always people fishing from land or whatever. But if there's not someone fishing from land and there's no one over there, go over there and fish the back side of that rock. Fish the spot of the rock that most people would ignore, which would be over here, because a lot of them are fishing right in here. And of course, if there's nobody here, you want to fish this whole area. But the back side of that rock, for whatever reason, it just calls my name. When I look at the map and I see that big old boulder sticking out there, I think I got to go fish that thing. All right, so again, we've got a ramp here. Now, what I liked about this spot here is you've almost got a little ditch. Notice how it caves in a little bit. And right where it starts to really cave in, you've got some pretty good rock formations right there. So I could see that being a decent place to find some fish. You've got some bigger rock piles right in here. And then out here off of this point, when we're getting out here off the basically where all those campsites are, you've got some interesting little rock going on out here. Now, this is further off the bank. If you're fishing this when the water's normal, the water's going to be way up here. So you're going to be fishing, basically your boat's going to be on top of it, or it's going to be right behind your boat is where you need to be fishing. So focus on this outer edge where you see this rock. Don't focus on the sandy stuff up there, but get back here and get where the rock is. You're going to have a lot better chance of catching some fish out there. All right, and then moving out here, kind of the same thing. Notice how the whole bank line's pretty much the same, except for what I talked to you about that rock earlier that was right up there. It's the same thing right out in here. You finally get it down this bank line to find that hard spot, and it's right in here. So this area right in here looks like it could have some really good potential as well. Then we're going to move on over, just some fishing piers and things here. I don't see anything around it that really caught my eye. There is a laydown that's there that you could check out. It's not much of one. And then when we get back in here, just a couple more rock formations here. Let's talk about this one right here first. This one looks pretty interesting. It's like almost like a little secondary points going back in here to this little flat. And I really like how it crops out, and it actually has a little bit of a ledge there. So take a look at that one. And then also over here, you've got a pretty good little rock pile going on about midway up, maybe quarter way up, maybe an eighth way up the cove here. But always you're looking for those stopping spots, right? If they were to come in here and they were taking their time, where would they stop? Well, they might come over here and hang out for a while. And then after they do that, they might come down and chill out on this rock pile for a couple days or a couple weeks. And then maybe they get tired there and they're ready to go back and get closer to spawn. They're getting excited. And now they move back in here and they're hanging out around that rock and this rock. And then they go back and they spawn and they come right back to there and they follow the pattern back. So that's really what we're lking for when we're breaking down these maps, is looking for those stopping spots looking for those high percentage areas and really pointing those out. So anyways, we got the rocks there. And then finally, we're back down to the dam. We've got a laydown that shows up on the dam. If I move it up to 2022, I think it was there, or 2021, maybe it was. There was a laydown in one of these you can see right here. The other thing is you've got a lot of rock right around this corner. And as long as you can fish there, I don't know where those buoys keep you from fishing. There's a boat right here. So it looks like maybe you can fish back in here. Definitely fish right in this area. This is going to be a really good spot for you. You know, it's a really cool picture. You can see how clear that lake is. That lake is fairly clear. So anyways, go check out Lake Georgetown. Let's go ahead and move over and let's talk about the Navionics side. What I want to do is I want to show you these offshore spots. We're not going to go in and show you the exact spots like we normally do, just because there's not enough of them here to really make it worth your time. But I do want to go over Navionics and just point out a few things to you. So if you go out and you get the card from simplisticfishing.com and you get the waypoints, you will see these markers on here. These are your offshore markers. Let's hop over and let's talk about it on Navionics. Well, here we are on Navionics Chart Viewer. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here to Lake Georgetown. And let's take a look at it real quick from an offshore standpoint. Now you can see here, someone's going crazy on all the different waypoints that are here. Most of these waypoints are those Texas Parks and Wildlife fish attractors sites that we already talked about. So don't get too excited. But there are a couple things here that I wanted you guys to take a look at. So just from an offshore standpoint, we already talked about down here, right? If you can get around down here, this is going to be a good area to fish. As you move over here, you've got some pretty tight contours. So you definitely have some pretty good breaks. You look here, this is 97 foot of water right here. A very deep spot right in here. You might have some sort of a ledge or something here, so you can look at that. Right in here, I really like this. You can tell the contours are super tight right here, and then it breaks down to like 60 something foot. So you have a really good break right in here as well. You could take a look at. Again, all these things are going to be marked on those waypoints. I really like this. Now, we talked about a lot when we were going over the Google Earth side about stopping spots and where they would hold up at. I don't know if there's a waypoint here that we talked about on Google Earth or not, but if there is, that would be a very high percentage spot to take a look at. This sets up very well for them to set up on before they either go back or when they're coming out. Plus, it has that nice flat top on it that turns out to be, you know, it can be a really good feeding table. So definitely take a look at that. Pay attention to some of these spots where it's got really tight contours and then it flattens out. I don't know if that's actually legit for this lake. I seriously doubt that there's a drop there that goes from 5 to 35 foot, but hey, maybe there is. I don't really know. I don't think there is. I think Navionics is lying to us. But then coming over here, again, a pretty decent little point here, just gradually breaks. But if you look really closely, right there, you've got a ledge, right where that fishing spot is. And I've marked that for you guys as well. Also over here, if you look right here, you've got something going on where it's a really deep hole. And so you've got a really good ledge going on right in this area. Another good point back up in there. I marked some of those points for you. Any of them that looked interesting. You got another pretty good ledge going on right in here as well. You got another one of those little deep holes. And then, of course, coming out here off these points, I'm just really looking to see if there's any type of flat spot on the top of a point or if there's any types of ledges. So you got a couple different ledges right in here. Some real good drop offs. You can see how tight those contours are. That means it's almost like a straight drop right in those areas. Those are going to be your summertime, wintertime type places. You've got all the fish attractors that are over here. And this one might not be fish as much because it's not as obvious, but this little point here, it looks really good. It's got good drops on both sides of it, and it's got a really good flat top to it as well. It's really stays around 15 feet for quite a while before it starts to break off. So this point right in there could be a really good point. Now let's move back just a little bit more, just a couple more things I wanted to point out to you as we're moving down in here. And of course, the offshore stuff, I probably have more markers than what I'm covering today, but I think I've covered the majority of it. These really deep holes that you see, if you can get up on the ledge of them and look around them, sometimes you'll find stuff. But some of these holes that are out here, this is 55 foot of water, that's really not my comfort zone. So yes, there could be fish out there, but I didn't mark anything like that because to me, that's too far out for me. And I don't feel confident telling you that you can fish there and catch fish if I couldn't go out there and do it myself. So I skipped over those. And then as we move down here, we just got some pretty good little points and things like that to look at. Nothing crazy, But what I would say is find that river channel, and you can see where it's at. It's right here. Find that river channel, and anywhere that river channel touches the bank or gets close to it, that's going to be your high percentage spot. So right here is going to be super high percentage. And we even talked about it when we were on the Google Earth side. You want to spend a ton of time right here. There's not a lot of humps or anything else like that. What you've got here is you've got a really good river channel. So take advantage of that river channel. Let it tell you where the fish are. Right in here is primo area to find fish. This is going to be a great place for them to go back and spawn in as well. You've got some pretty decent little ledges going off these little points. Right here, this looks magical. Right here off this point where you see that little break. That's going to be a great spot. Also, as I zoom back to right here, you notice it gets really sharp break again. That's that river channel coming down and bouncing up across that bank line, basically. And that's, again, just primo spots to find bass. And in fact, sometimes you find them on the inside, depending on what time of year it is. So you definitely want to go check that out, and just see if that's going to be a great place for it. But I'm telling you, I think that's going to be a really high percentage area. And so that really kind of covers us for Lake Georgetown. There's not a lot else that I can point out to you guys, but I hope that helps you guys find some fish out there. Make sure to go ahead and check out my channel, simplisticfishing.com. And until next time, hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.